Here we have the 2-hour price chart for Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated, stock ticker AMD. So this is the 2-hour price chart, and as we can see here, the stock is taking a major dive after posting some fairly significant new highs in the stock. This is a tremendous reversal here. We really did see a very strong break to the top side. This really occurred. This would have been during the July 5th trading session. So just as we come back from the holiday, the stock really does start to take off quite massively. And we broke out of this prior trading range, as you can see here. Current price levels at the time during this June 5th period would have been trading at within a range that was defined to the top side with prices at just below 175. And then to the downside, the support zone for this trading range would have come in at roughly 140, 150. So, we can see that there was a significant break to the top side once share prices were able to kind of definitively move above the exponential moving average cluster. But then, as we can see here, the moment that trend itself started to give way, the stock started to reverse in a very big way. As we can see here, this breakout point comes as the stock breaks above all of these colorful lines here. This would be the exponential moving averages. The upside break here was quite forceful. And as this occurred, we managed to stay above these moving averages easily without much effort at all. But then, as you can see here, the moment that this started to break down, the share price itself also broke down, and we're now seeing price gaps lower that are resulting in significant share price movements to the downside. So currently, what we're looking at is a new resistance level, which has formed at we can call this roughly 187.10. And if you're looking at the shorter term time frames, this really does start to look more like a triple top resistance zone. We are on the 2-hour chart here, so it is a bit of a longer term time frame. But if we were looking at like a 15-minute chart or something like that, this would start to look more like a triple top, which is a very significant resistance zone. So going forward here, this does really call into question whether or not we're going to continue to be able to see a reversal in this stock. Really, if we do see a break below these prior lows, which posted at roughly 153.90, that'd be this region here. We will really have to start to call into question whether or not, this most recent break really had much trajectory behind it, because as you can see now, we are clearly below the exponential moving average cluster. Okay, so if you just kind of go back in time a little bit here, you can really see how important these moving averages are for this stock. Sometimes these moving averages are more important than others for certain stocks. But as we can see here, the prices are really behaving themselves. When these price breaks start to occur. But previously, price breaks were kind of minimal above these exponential moving averages, and we're just kind of oscillating around this moving average cluster. We're not really seeing significant breaks to the top side. But then once we do start to see significant breaks to the top side, the moves tend to be quite forceful. So in this case, we really saw a break of, this was really below 165. And then we were able to move all the way to, close to 188, above 187. So, this is in percentage terms, this is a significant move. And it does overcome a period of prior declines, which we're seeing going back to roughly be the early parts of March, March 8th, roughly. So, there was a tremendous amount of downside selling momentum that was being seen overall. And the stock was attempting to base itself here. We were breaking out of this trading range, as I said, just below 175 to the top side, and then just above 141 to the downside. We sort of based in the middle of this range, and then we forcefully broke above the exponential moving average cluster to post these new highs. So, these new declines here are significant, and it does call into question, the validity of these prior price breaks. One thing that we have to note here is the fact that AMD is not the only stock that's selling off today. We're seeing some major selling pressure develop in NVIDIA and Meta platforms as well. I do recommend that people look at those two videos. I've just posted videos on NVIDIA and Meta platforms, um, so that you can kind of see how the broader trend is developing in the market as a whole, and for the technology space in particular, because we're starting to see some winners and losers develop here. I did also just post a video on Tesla. I recommend people look at that video as well because that stock is faring much better. Um, in comparison, we're not seeing the same types of declines in Tesla, even though we have recently seen major rallies and the stock has traded in overbought territory for quite a long period of time. So overall here, what really needs to be watched is the moving average cluster. I mean, we can just kind of drill in here to see, as soon as as soon as we have a convincing break in one direction, the follow through tends to be quite forceful. So if this trend holds true for this stock, we could start to see, it would suggest that we're not done here with the declines. In addition to that, we have to point to this rising momentum trend that was being seen in the relative strength index. This purple line down here is the relative strength index. And as we can see, there was a strong uptrend that was developing here for quite a while. This really extended all the way back to roughly April 19th. So it's been in place for quite some time. And now we're seeing that it has broken to the downside. We've got two kind of signals here. One is the fact that the relative strength index, which is the purple line, has broken below its own moving average, which is the yellow line. So that on its own is a negative signal. But then in addition to that, we also have this trend line break, which suggests that this prior trend momentum in the positive direction is now over. So, there's some real questions that need to be asked here. I mean, do people think that we're really recovering in this stock, or do you think that this is just a shorter term decline that's maybe based on selling pressure that's being seen in the broader market as a whole? Both of these would be fair arguments, because there are real questions that need to be answered here. We did post this new high, and this is a significant new high. It means that this prior trading range was broken to the top side, and this really should, in general, force a retest, of the upper ends of the longer term trading ranges, which would have come in closer to 227. So we really should have seen more of a follow through here, less extreme selling pressure develop, but it's possible that you can make the argument that this is largely being seen because you're seeing sell-offs in so many other areas. Nvidia is kind of the star of the show at this point as far as the stock market is concerned, and we're seeing a major sell-off there. So, do you believe that this is being caused by the sell-off in Nvidia, or do you think that there are specific reasons that AMD should be declining here? I'd like to hear responses about that in the comments below. So, here's the current market analysis for Advanced Micro Devices, stock ticker AMD.